What's going on, everybody? I got a special treat for you today. I was on my way home to do the editing from my SeaWorld vlog I just did, but then I thought I had an idea. And I said, let me do one more while I'm out and about. That way, in case the weather gets really bad with this potential hurricane coming, I can have a couple of vlogs in the chute ready to go. That way, if there's going to be a few days where I either get called back into work for storm coverage or whatever's going on, then I can have some vlogs to keep moving out. That way I don't have these long gaps. That's what I'm trying to avoid. I'm trying to avoid having really long gaps in between releasing my vlogs and that. So I thought we'd do one more on the way home, so I hope you all like this. But before we do this, I wanted to do one thing, because a while back I had told this individual that left a comment on one of my vlogs that I would get back, and I wanted to do it in this format, speaking to the camera, because it's really kind of neat, the questions this person asked. It's kind of a list of what are my favorite things, what I like to do, and instead of leaving a reply that might get, lost in the shuffle here, I thought I'd start this vlog out with my answers to this question. So this is from Neil Hudson 2054. This was from a vlog a couple weeks ago. But it's basically, it was some fun questions. Coffee, black or white? Black coffee, sir. All the way. Las Vegas or New York? Haven't been to either one of them. I know it sounds pretty wild, but I would say Las Vegas. That's where I really want to go. I've never been and would really like to see it. I wouldn't mind seeing New York. It's just not on my top list of things to do. But whenever I do get there, I do want to see, obviously, the 9/11 memorial. I'm sure that's going to be unbelievably emotional, which I've heard from fellow firefighters that I've worked with that have gone to that. They said they're like, you can't get through it without shedding tears. It's just way too, it's very powerful, very emotional. I'd also like to visit a few of the New York City firehouses, like in downtown Manhattan and that. So first would be Vegas, second would be New York. Favorite food? Definitely a pizza lover. Man, I love all different kinds, especially the homemade. I've got Italian blood flowing through me, so yeah, Italian food, pizza, spaghetti, that kind of thing, all the way. It says, in England, you are never above 70 miles from the sea. Well, what was your furthest point ever from the sea? So here in the States, that would be probably Indiana. I'm born and raised in Indiana. Believe it or not, I never saw the ocean until 2006. So that really hasn't been that long ago. I was 28 or 29 years old when I saw the ocean for the very first time. So yeah, so that would be Indiana. It probably puts us right about, I think it's depending on how you go. If you go down to the Gulf Coast, I think it's somewhere along 500 or 600 miles to the Gulf from Indiana, and if you obviously go to Daytona and on downward from there, it's like 11 or 1200. So yeah, that would be Indiana. And then favorite color? Tennessee orange, sir. I love Tennessee orange. And then what is your pet hate? Ooh, that's a good one. I'm gonna assume that means, like, out of all pets, what do you hate the most? Oh, I'm not really sure. I guess it would be, I guess it'd be a pet bird. Because I've known some friends that have had pet birds. Oh dear God. Obnoxious. Doesn't even begin to explain it. That would probably be it. Would be a pet bird. And then sushi or steak. That would have to be steak all the way. If I had, the ultimate choice, to eat it every night, it'd be a filet mignon. That is my absolute favorite part. I do like a good T-bone, but man, that filet mignon part, fantastic. So that's the question list. So thank you very much for sending that. Sorry it took a little long to get back to it, but like I said, I just wanted to you know, figure out a way to do that, and I figured doing it at the entry to a vlog would be perfect. So thanks for sending that. Anybody else want to know anything, send it through the comments and we'll do it like this. So all right, let's get this vlog started now. Welcome everybody, welcome back to the channel. As you can see in the background, I'm here at Disney's Wilderness Lodge. This is one of my all-time favorite resorts here at the Disney World property. If you have never been here and you've never seen this resort, you're in for a treat. Also, I've been doing a lot of research on other vlogs, again, trying to find out what people are doing and what they're not doing. And what's interesting is there's hundreds, if not thousands, of Disney channels, from live stream channels all the way to vlogs, and a combination of both. If you look through them, you can find hundreds, if not thousands, of videos on all of the Disney resorts, especially here at Wilderness Lodge. And what is the one thing you will find? You'll find videos of the food, you'll find videos of the souvenirs and the gift shops, and you'll find videos of the interior and exterior of the hotels and the pools. And you might see videos and live streams of people shoving food in their face. But that's about it. Nobody, or I should say very few, have taken the time to research these resorts and break them down and go into detail, just like I did at Coronado Springs and at Swan and Dolphin. And the more and more I look at this, it is a big time untapped reservoir of full possibilities of moving the Disney resort vlogs into a newer space that's never been covered. People don't talk about the backstories of these resorts, and they all have one, and they all have incredible details that nobody talks about. So that way, when you watch this, and then when you come to Disney World and you can visit these resorts, all you gotta do is either come here and tell them you either come here and make a reservation, or with some of these resorts, tell them like here, you're gonna go have lunch at Geyser Point, which I highly recommend. Or if you make a dining reservation, or if you're gonna stay here, or the other way you can get here is go to Disney Springs and just take the bus and transportation system. You can go to any resort you want to and walk around. That way, when you come out here and you see these resorts in person, you can take the ideas from these vlogs and you can go find these really cool features for yourself. It's one thing to see them through video like this, but it's another thing to see them in person. It's pretty magical. So I have done my research again. I found, it took me a long time to find it, but I found the holy grail of Disney hotel information. I mean, anything you ever wanted to know about Disney architecture, the special and true meanings behind all these resorts, who designed them, what the meaning behind all these designs are. I mean, it is incredible what I uncovered. And I am keeping that close to me because, hey, to get the advantage, you got to do a lot of legwork, and people love to rip stuff off here. And hey, everybody's trying to get that one advantage, right? But you know, I'm going to keep this one close to me. Maybe when I'm done covering all these resorts, I'll show you where I get my info. But I will say this, it is all true to fact, and it is all coming out of a book. I will let you know that. And it is, and if there's any work to be cited, if there's any credit need to be given, I will definitely give the credit, because obviously I'm doing the research on this, and the stuff I'm reading is based off of research, and it's based off of things that people have written about. Let's uncover an entire new area of the Walt Disney World resorts, because there is a lot to see. So what I did in my reading and research is found out there is a ton of information on Wilderness Lodge here, because not only is there the lodge, but then there's the Copper Creek cabins, there's the Boulder Ridge resort area. So that in and of itself is a lot of information. So what we're going to do is we're just going to cover the lodge today, and then what we'll do is we'll put this into about 2 or 3 different parts, and we'll come back and then we'll do part of the Boulder Creek villas and Copper Creek and all that, and explain all of that. So like I said, expect this to be at least 2 or 3 parts, but today's vlog will be just on the main building itself, because there's a lot of cool information in there. So as I like to say, without wasting any more time, let's get our ass in gear. Let's go inside this fantastic hotel And I'll show you once again why the Michael Eisner era of the Disney resorts was by far the best. As you walk up to this resort, you swear you're in Colorado, in the mountains and out west. And once again, this resort opened May 28th, 1994. I'll tell you, the 90s and the Michael Eisner era were by far the greatest for the Walt Disney World Resort Because unlike Iger and all the current clowns we got now, Eisner actually cared about theming and immersing and giving guests that immersion power. So not only when you're in the theme parks are you immersed in everything around you, but the immersion continues while you're staying at the resorts. And that's the whole point of why people pay more to come to Disney. It's for that experience. And I think that's why people including myself, get so pissed off at these new projects that they're doing, because there's no immersion. It's just slapped together crap. This is not slapped together crap. This is very, very well done. And some of the architects that worked on this also worked on Coronado Springs, which is the one we just did more recently. But even as you walk up to this place, I mean, just look at this. From this all the way to the lanterns and the ceiling, it's like you're walking into a giant log cabin. All right, y'all, if you've never seen this, I'm just going to let the camera roll, and I'm not going to say a word. Just enjoy.
Sitting around healing, I'm going there to make sure everybody's on the same user. All I need to do is talk.
And again, I really appreciate these resorts because the past architect and designer in me, I can relate with this a lot. All right, well, let's go sit down and let's break this whole thing down, shall we? All right, so what we're gonna do is I'm gonna read a little bit to you here, okay? Hopefully this comes across well. Part of this starts out by saying, you know, when CEO Michael Eisner arrived in 1984, he chose to develop both Disney's Grand Floridian Resort in place of the proposed Asian resort. Believe it or not, yeah, where Grand Floridian sits, there was supposed to be an Asian themed resort there. Whenever we get around to covering the Grand Floridian, we'll show you all of the concept art for that, because that was pretty impressive. And then they also announced the the Cypress Point Lodge, which became the Wilderness Lodge, where we're sitting right now. And then one of the things I like about this is it says it was Eisner's goal to entice lauded architects like Robert Stern and Michael Graves to design buildings on Walt Disney World's property, giving them an inordinate amount of freedom. Hence that word, freedom. Design what you want, you know, make sure that you design these to be immersive. Key word. You're immersed in the theme parks, you're immersed in the property. It's all about immersion. This is why, you know, people will say, well, why should I spend more money to stay at a Disney World hotel? Well, this is why. It's the immersion factor. It's the attention to detail. You know, from the moment you drive off of Interstate 4 onto Disney World property, it's all about immersion. As I said earlier, that's what these clowns in charge now, like DeMauro and Volley, Iger, all these I'm sorry, but all these idiots running the show now, they don't care about this stuff. They really don't, and it shows. Again, I talked about it in the Coronado video. Look at the we're gonna go by eventually and look at that disastrous Polynesian tower. Compare that to where we're sitting now. I mean, you can't even. And then it says, this is a quote, it says, in our architecture, Disney continues to produce the kind of groundbreaking entertainment that keeps the Disney name magical to people around the world. Just got done talking about that. Our architecture is part of the show, said Eisner, August 1992, at the groundbreaking ceremony for the Wilderness Lodge. Again, I just went, that was what I had said. This is part of the show. You could stay at any old hotel anywhere you want to. There's a Hilton Garden Inn not that far off property, but people don't spend $500, $600, $700 up to over $1,000 a night for a Hilton Garden Inn experience. They're spending that kind of money for the place that I'm sitting in. They're spending that kind of money for that theming. And the design group that did this is Peter Dominic Jr., who headed this urban design group. They were out of Denver, Colorado. He was obviously an outdoorsman and been commissioned to design the now premium resort. And it said he was also well known for having a great passion and understanding of the building traditions of the Rocky Mountain West. And what I said walking in here, it feels like you're in the Rocky Mountains. Even though Magic Kingdom's only like, what, 3 or 4 miles from here, if that? You walking up here and being on this property, you swear you're in Colorado in the Rockies. Theming. Part of the research that they did in developing this, they visited lodges at Yosemite, Yellowstone, and Glacier National Parks. So when they were working on designing the design of this lodge came from a couple other influences around the country. Like there's apparently the Wilderness Lodge. This has elements. So this lodge here, Wilderness Lodge, has got elements from Timberline Lodge in Oregon and also Lake McDonald Lodge in Glacier National Park. So they're all they have pieces of what's in here. One of the big things that they drew inspiration from when they created this was Old Faithful, the Old Faithful Inn at Yellowstone National Park and the Ahwahnee Lodge in Yosemite National Park that are referenced several times in both the interior and exterior of the final design. But when we go outside again, we'll have to look at this. But one of the things they point out is outside Wilderness Lodge, there's five flags that there's 5 flags that fly outside of this resort, just as they do at Old Faithful Inn in Yellowstone. The only difference is the flags here have got a Disney twist. Obviously, so the flags left to right are the Wilderness Lodge flag, Florida State flag, American flag, Disney Mickey Mouse flag, and finally Disney, the DVC flag. Because, you got to keep their cult members happy. I'm sorry. Y'all can disagree with me, but that DVC is a freaking cult, man. You go up to anybody that's a Disney Vacation Club member and tell them they're wasting their money, they lose their ever-loving minds trying to explain to you, wow, it's not a waste of money. I think it's a waste of money. I think if you took that kind of money and invested it over 50 years into a retirement account, you'd be a multi-millionaire. And obviously the style of this lodge, it's considered rustic architecture, which you can just look above me. It's all like heavy timber themed. So, the other thing I thought was pretty interesting is and it highlights this here, is one other person that was very involved in the design process of this was Michael Eisner himself. Like I said, the Eisner era was by far the best era for Disney World. that knucklehead we got now, Iger, I cannot wait till he's gone. They don't care about theming. It's clear. When you look at that Polynesian disaster tower they got, it's a joke. Compare that to this. Hopefully whoever takes Iger's place will be a little bit more detail-minded. One of the other things that they added in here to create it like a log cabin was they wanted a heavy. They wanted to rely heavy on like natural lighting, which, if you know, obviously theming in log cabins and that there's not a lot of electricity, so anything that would light up a cabin would be natural light. So here's where we're gonna have a little fun with some of the items that I've collected from doing research and the lobby. One of the first facts that's pretty cool is that there were 85 loads of lodge pole pines that were harvested from standing dead forests, meaning trees that had been killed from a natural cause like insects or volcanic soot, in Oregon and Montana to build the resort. So it's pretty neat to know that no living trees were chopped down to create the lodge poles. And Disney replanted new trees whenever they took trees. Stretched end to end, the lodge poles would be 40 miles long. So everything here, that's what they talk about, the lodge poles. That's what they gathered. All of these on the four posts right here. And then it goes on to say that the wooden floor here in the lobby is composed of Brazilian cherry, white oak, bird's eye maple, and burl walnut, and it mimics a Native American hoppy rug that tells a storm creation story. So I'm guessing this would be it right here. Yeah, it says, there is the center of the earth, and from it flows 4 rivers in a lightning pattern to the 4 corners of the earth. That's pretty cool. So right here, this would be considering the earth right there. And then those go out to the poles right there. There's 1. There's 2. And there's 3. And then last but not least, 4. And so these poles that extend upward, this roof, they're calling it, this is the canopy of the sky. And then they said, if you can get all the way up there, which we'll try to do that before I finish this thing up. But if you go all the way up to the top, they said this really, really looks obvious as to how the design is laid out. But just to refresh, this little piece in the middle represents the earth. And then each of these lightning bolts patterns on the outward sides go to these poles which reach up to the sky. And then apparently if you ask a cast member, they'll tell you that the wooden carpet design, it depicts the symbol of unity among the 4 seasons, wildlife, man, and the cosmos. So apparently this isn't done anymore, kind of like many things around Disney World Resort, which they've cut out. But for a while, I guess they used to do this, and it says, when Wilderness Lodge first opened, then every November annually, as part of Native American Heritage Month, there would be a ceremony performed called the Blessing of the 4 Directions, which is rooted in the belief that human beings are tied to all things in nature. So they would have a ceremony in here with all these pillars and then the rug in the center. Oh, and then the belief, which was the reasoning for this ceremony, was this assigned virtues to the 4 cardinal directions: east, south, west, and north. This was conducted by James Hansen, Black Wolf, and Anita Hansen, Quicksilver, and the ceremony symbolically drove out negative energy and purified the resort for the year ahead. And then the Hansons also told stories and answered questions for guests about Native American culture. So doing a little bit further research, the last ceremony of this was held in 2009, and apparently the Hansons decided they no longer wanted to travel to do this, and then Disney also decided not to find an alternative. Go figure. And then one of the other really cool things is the rock work. The rock work for the exterior and interior is fabricated using gunite. Real rocks were used to create molds for cement that was later spray painted to look like granite or sandstone. So just like this, right below our feet. They said that Dominic's work on the Wilderness Lodge was so well received by guests and critics that he went on to also design Animal Kingdom Lodge at Walt Disney World and the Grand Californian Resort in Anaheim for the Disney Company. But again, this is when Disney actually gave a damn about attention to detail, theming, and immersion. So that's going to be one of the next ones we do, will be Animal Kingdom Lodge. So again, these were all taken from trees that were already dead, or they were refurbished and brought here. So apparently behind the desk there's a gold key, a large gold key mounted to the wall, that in 1995 the resort was recognized with this grand prize for excellence in hospitality design in the lobby reception category at 14th Annual Golden Key Awards by the International Hotel, Motel, and Restaurant Association. It says the Mickey head on the key was meant to remind the cast members to always unlock the magic in their hearts for the guests. Let's see if we can find this key. There it is. Found the key. How freaking cool is that? If you're looking for the key, look for see the front desk. It follows all the way down, all the way to your left. You'll see this little cove right there. It sits right in that cove. All right, next up on the list in the lobby is this fireplace. This has got a really, really cool freaking story to it. So, this goes back to the Bright Angel Lodge, or I should say the design for this fireplace goes back to the Bright Angel Lodge at the Grand Canyon, and it's got a small geologic fireplace that was quarried directly from the layers of the Grand Canyon. This fireplace is an intricate 82-foot-high replica of the South Rim Grand Canyon strata. As you ascend the levels of the lobby, you traveled upward to modern times. To see evidence of the first creatures to squirm over and under the surface of the earth, guests should go to the 4th floor and search the layers of Tapete sandstone for worm burrows and trilobite trails. Alright, we gotta somehow get to the 4th floor. So this fireplace represents all of the layers of the Grand Canyon. It says some of the fossils of prehistoric plant animal life are several hundred million years old and are carefully embedded in the correct stratus for a historically accurate view. So when they put these in here, they put them in the correct layer so it would recreate the exact time in history. What if I kept saying attention to detail? You don't see this kind of stuff anymore at Disney World. It says, due to laws restricting the removal of material from national parks, this fireplace was constructed and sculpted in place by artisans using similar materials as found in the Grand Canyon strata. So, this was created to look just like it. Because apparently you can't remove anything from national parks, as probably should be the case. This is more than 100 colors and hues of greens, magenta, buff, red, black, and brown are visible. From the Vishnu schist to Bass limestone to Tapiat sandstone to the Redwall and Temple Butte limestone, and finally ending with Kalibab limestone and Toro Weep formation, the fireplace represents the 1.6 billion years of the time it took for the layers of rock to form. And so the variations are recreated in the same proportions as those that appear in the real Grand Canyon that range from 50 to 700 feet thick. The fireplace is built to scale with the geologic layout of the Grand Canyon, complete with geologic disconformities. Yeah. How about that, huh? So this is a full-on replica exactly as you would see in the Grand Canyon. And like it was read, because you can't take rocks out of national parks and that. They went and studied it and then recreated it to be exactly as you would see it in the Grand Canyon, with all layers, all fossils embedded, and all colors to match the exact same thing that you would see in real life. So one of the things that does not exist in the real Grand Canyon is a hidden Mickey, but it does in the Wilderness Lodge fireplace. So there's a hidden Mickey tucked away in this thing somewhere. But where? So it looks like they took everything that used to be on the individual floors and moved them down here to this giant showcase. But this tells you all the rock that you can find in this fireplace and in the layers of the Grand Canyon. So I was looking for the hidden Mickey. I don't see it, but eventually when we do our hidden Mickey tour, we'll find it. But also apparently you can go to the guest services desk, the guest services front desk, and get a riddle clue sheet and help you locate more than 24 hidden Mickeys at the Wilderness Lodge Resort. So one of the other cool features about this fireplace is it used to burn actual wood in here. But apparently because of humidity problems and challenges over the early years, when you burn wood in that, it raises the humidity levels in the lobby and it caused cracking in the wood. So they had to change that and they put into a gas burning fireplace now. Now on to these teepee chandeliers. Each one of these are 500 pounds. And they're made from actual rawhide that's stretched over the framework, and each of the teepee shades are hand painted with geometric Native American symbols in red and black. Inside each teepee is 48 bulbs, which provides 2,800 watts needed to illuminate this entire lobby. That's incredible. These teepees are 10 feet in diameter, 10 feet high at the peak, and they are framed with a bronze and steel ring with an age finished of silhouetted buffaloes and Native Americans on horseback. These images were inspired by photographs and the work of artist Thomas Molesworth. That's insane. These things are 10 feet wide and 10 feet tall and 500 pounds each. And all of that, all the work on there is done by hand. That's incredible. Oh, and one other thing, like this headdress here, these have been recreated using turkey feathers because apparently it's illegal to use eagle feathers. So Disney, the Imagineers, adapted turkey feathers when they recreated these headdresses for display. These two headdresses that sit on either side of the Wilderness Canyon Cafe, or I'm sorry, the Whispering Canyon Cafe, these two headdresses would have been worn by the highest ranking member of the different tribes that they represent. This one here, this would have been worn by a high-ranking warrior chief. And then this one here, this has got two trailers that hang all the way down. And the explanation for this was it's an elaborate headdress of this style would have been worn by the highest-ranking member of the Sioux tribe. All right, now on to the other major detail that a lot of people don't even realize that are here. On this side and over here are the two totem poles. Both these are 55 feet tall. And one pole is dedicated to the eagle while the other is the raven. These animals were chosen because most Northwest Native American cultures have these birds as a significant part of their cultural mythology. The dimensions on these totem poles are 3 feet wide at the top, 5 feet wide at the bottom, and each is constructed of two 27-foot sections spliced together. I said the choice of these, the characters and everything that are represented on these totem poles and their placement, this was the choice of Disney World's consultants. And he said the goal when they designed these totem poles was to use legend and lore that was common among many tribes in the Northwest Coast, but not necessarily specific to any one tribe. And it should be noted that this was all done by hand. They had multiple tools that they used for this. They used chainsaws, and for the finer details, they used adzes, knives, and other traditional carving tools. This process took 6 months, and these poles are made from 4 old-growth red cedars, each about 5 feet in diameter at the base. And so what they did was they put all of these together, and they put those posts together to form these totems, and then the totems were all hand-carved. Also, to help support these giant, heavy-ass totems, these had to be hollowed out, because I guess a lot of the trees that they used, again, they reused dead trees. They had a lot of rot inside, so they had to hollow it out. And then they reinforced these by splicing in new wood. And then after the poles were all carved, everything's been finished with Thompson's water seal and then painted. The installation on both these totems, which took 5 days, they were installed in January of 1994. And the poles are flanked by these stone walls, and they're tied to steel I-beams. So right there. So that's what holds everything up. And it's the same way on the complete opposite side of the lobby here. Also, if you're in this lobby and you want to see what these totems mean, look at the base. Each one of them has a bronze plaque that explains the full story of this is the Raven pole. And then the other pole on the other side would be the Eagle pole. So just a quick rundown of this Raven pole. Just like all totem poles, you read them from the bottom to the top, and this includes the whale, cougar, wren, and bear cub twins, dolphin and salmon, and culminates with the story of Raven pulling the sun, moon, and stars from a box to light the darkened world. The figures on this pole are common to many tribes of the Great Northwest. And then this is the Eagle pole over here, but there's a ton of people around the base, so I'm going to kind of stand back. But same like the Raven pole, you read this one from the bottom to the top as well. And this one includes bear chief, frog, bear cub, mountain goat, mouse woman, raven, and beaver. Eagle, who is a helper to all humans and animals, perches on the top. He is aided by 3 watchmen known as Tonskeel, who keep their eyes open day and night, protecting the village. The figures on this pole are common to many tribes in the Great Northwest. Now, like I was saying earlier on, this is going to have to be multiple parts because I've barely even scratched the surface of just the lobby, let alone the whole resort. The other thing I want to go down here and show you is the furniture. The furniture and the lighting fixtures, these were inspired by American furniture designers Thomas Molesworth. He had a great understanding of Native American culture in the American West. This influence is notable in the flat-back chairs in Whispering Canyon Cafe. So, yeah, these. So this is considered the library area of the Whispering Canyon restaurant. So the furniture in here is Gustav Stickley chairs, and then the tables are called Frank Lloyd Wright tables. So the architect Frank Lloyd Wright, this is one of his designs, the furniture. I'm a big fan of Frank Lloyd Wright. One of my travels I have to do at some point, probably a goal should be in the next year or two, is to get up to Pennsylvania and see his most famous house he ever built, or I should say designed and built. It's called Falling Water. And it's a house built out over a waterfall. I have to go see that at some point. But these are Frank Lloyd Wright tables. That's pretty neat. And apparently, oh, there's a china cabinet in the very back. That's part of his design as well. And I can't get in there right now because the restaurant is closed, which is good because there's nobody here. I don't really want to film anybody eating. But it's to be noted that the pottery and ceramics that you see in this cabinet, these are authentic arts and crafts pieces from the arts and crafts movement. They are 100 years old. It said mass production by machine was becoming more common, so the arts and crafts movement emphasized the appreciation for handmade glass and pottery because they express the unique individuality of the particular artist. Couldn't agree more on that one. One thing I wanted to point out over here, this is leading to a whole nother section of Wilderness Lodge. This is Artist Point, which is a really, really, really cool themed character restaurant. And then down there it leads to a whole nother section. But look at the theming for the fire valve and the extinguisher. I wanted to showcase this as well. This is one of my more favorite features of this resort. This is kind of like a geyser spring here, and it's tucked inside. It's tucked inside of the lodge. So basically, it starts here, and it flows out around the rocks to a river here. I think this is Copper Creek. You have a bridge that goes over it, and then it flows all the way out of the hotel and down this way, and it finishes in the swimming pool. Pretty cool. I think that's one of the last things we'll do in this vlog is we'll walk this, and I'll show you how this whole thing is designed. So here we are. We're on level 4, okay? And the reason I did this is I wanted to show you this other detail here. Let me go over to where I can get some better lighting. So there was actually somebody here doing a vlog not too long ago, one of the many Disney content creators, and they were showing this, but they just said, oh look, there's an owl, there's a cougar, you know, wolf, but nobody ever explained what this was. So these actually have a reason. There's a reason these are here. So what this does is these animals that are in these poles here, right up here, they're on every single one of them. There's one there. There's one down there. There's some across the way. There's another. And same with this side. Now's the fun part. Explain why these are here. So I'm going to use this post over here to kind of showcase what these mean. So the reason for these animals at the lowest level, which you can see that one right there, that at the lowest level there, you'll find creatures of the field and meadows such as turkey, raccoon, squirrel, and rabbit. The animals on the next level, up from that one, are those are the animals on the lower mountains such as wolf, pronghorn, antelope, bison, and elk. And on the third are those of the high mountain level, such as the mountain goat, sheep, bear, and mountain lion. The highest level has the birds of prey, such as the falcon, American bald eagle, hawk, and owl. It took 4 tons of wood to create these creatures. On average, it was 10 days to carve each animal using an electric saw, rotary saw, a chisel, and a hammer. That's incredible. So how they got the design for this and to match these animals up perfectly is Robertson, who created these. He did massive research and then rendered the drawings that he used to create scale, clay, or plaster models as guides. And so there's an owl right there. So obviously all the animals of the sky. All right, this is a direct quote from Robertson, who designed these, okay? He said, I had to know how to fit the animals into the trees. So these are, again, these are supposed to represent trees, these pillars. It said each animal had to be carved around the limbs, knots, and rotten spots. So they carved these. Remember we were talking about earlier that these posts were made from dead trees. So it said the animals had to be carved around the limbs, knots, and rotten spots. There was no way to change the tree, because Disney wanted their own spin on this, but basically who said that's not going to happen. It's going to be too difficult. Robertson also said that he wanted to, quote, show the mark of the hands of the artist, not slick, but a rough human feeling. It says, quote, Disney will try and do something artificially to meet fire codes or get it to be weather resistant, Robertson said, quote, but in this instant, everything was done in a traditional way by the artist and by hand. So everything you see here, all of these animals that are carved here, everything, every bit of this was done by hand. And it said every night during the 6 months before this hotel's Memorial Day 1994 opening, Robertson climbed scaffolds to chisel into the pine logs. We finished the day before the hotel opened, he laughed. That's incredible. So I hope y'all are enjoying this. Like I said, this is a really neat addition to cover in these hotels because nobody does it. Like I said, everybody will cover the resorts. They'll show the food, they'll show, you know, the lobby and all of the gift shop stuff and the swimming pools, and like I said, they'll even show them stuffing their own faces and swimming, but nobody talks about this stuff. I mean, just look at the little bit I've done. I haven't even scratched the surface of this. So what I thought we would do is we're gonna go check out the swimming pool and explain to you what that means, and then we'll wrap this one up as part 1, and then I'll head home and edit this, and I'll have to come back and probably do part 2, part 3. This will easily be, I thought I could do this maybe 2 parts, 3 parts. Nah, this will be at least 3 or 4 parts. But again, I hope you're all enjoying this. I know this is from a whole different point of view. But again, millions of people stay at these resorts. And just like filming all of this, everybody's walking through here to get somewhere. They don't realize the history and the detail that they're walking past. So I'm telling you, take a break from your vacation. Take a break from the theme parks and go visit all of these resorts. And just take a look. And again, use my video, use my vlog as a guide, and go and take a look at all this stuff because it's truly amazing. Actually, in the middle of the day and early evenings is a good time to come to these resorts and check out everything because everybody's in the theme park, so it's nice and peaceful in here. So as I said before we went upstairs, the last thing we'll cover in this part 1 of Wilderness Lodge will be this spring and where this ends up in the pool. And there's a story behind the swimming pool. But what I like here is you got all these chairs and all that, and it's nice and relaxing. You can sit here. You can sit right here and just listen to the water. You can sit here and just listen to the water and just watch it flow. But from here, it starts here. This little like geyser pool. It flows out, goes under this bridge, and it heads out this direction out of the resort. By the way, Disney, you're always looking for ways to make money off people. Take all this information that is available and get yourself some tour guides and resort enthusiasts and offer guided walking tours of the resorts and all their historical significances and facts and everything. People would do that. Imagine like you could sell a package of like say 8, and then you could do a full-on tour of everything. You'd have to use a couple days because there's so many resorts that I don't think you could do it in one day to go in this kind of into depth like this. But if you want to make money, there you go. So there's the lobby we just came out of, and this is the creek that flows out of it. You can see we'll follow this all the way down. So it continues this way and goes over the falls here. There's Copper Creek Falls right there. As we move around here, you'll see, when you look back at this resort, once again, it looks like some place that you'd see in the Rocky Mountains. I mean, honestly, how beautiful is this? So if you follow, the water goes over the falls, down through here, under the bridge I'm standing on, and comes right out here,
You're just gonna write it down next to
and into the swimming pool. And this pool has a backstory. One thing you'll notice is that the swimming pool doesn't really have a pattern. It's just kind of there. It's got a bunch of odd angles and corners and edges. The story behind that is George McGregor, who was an unlucky prospector, brought dynamite to aid in his mining of this area, but he ended up blowing up his cabin, and the huge crater that remained became the swimming pool. That's from George. What is it, Butch Cassidy and the Sundance Kid? Use enough dynamite there, Butch? So right there is Copper Creek Falls, and it flows right down in to the swimming pool that was blown up by accident. So the swimming pool, like I said, the backstory of the swimming pool is it was blown out by pure accident. The guy had too much dynamite in his house and blew a crater in the ground, and that became the pool. So back inside the lobby, one more thing I have to touch on before we wrap this vlog up. There's one more really neat feature that this resort has. And the first clue is right here in the carpet, or in the Disney's Wilderness Lodge carpets as you walk in. Disney's Wilderness Lodge Resort is the only Disney resort hotel that has an official mascot, the brown bear. And it goes to show that images and illusions can be found throughout the resort, including bear tracks embedded in the walkways. And what they wanted to do to make, obviously a bear can be pretty intimidating, so they wanted to make that potentially fearsome mascot friendlier for younger guests. So what they did is they took some of the brown bear images and they made them of the Disney animated character Humphrey the Bear, a lovable, overweight brown bear who lives in the fictional Brownstone National Park, which also themes into the idea of a national park lodge. And I'll show you old Humphrey the Bear. One of the other vloggers covered this, and they didn't even realize what they were looking at. Like, oh, there's a bear. Like, oh, that's a very famous bear, sir. Right here's the Mercantile Gift Shop. Obviously it says established in 1994, hence the opening of Wilderness Lodge. And right here on this totem, there he is, Humphrey the Bear. You can actually find this totem on shirts. There's Christmas ornaments. There's all kinds of home furnishings that you can get with this particular totem in smaller shapes and sizes. But every one of them will have the bear on the very bottom, and that's Wilderness Lodge's mascot, the official Wilderness Lodge mascot, the only resort to have a mascot. You can actually see him right here. They got them on the salt and pepper shakers. They got them on this totem here. They've got them on this Wilderness Lodge picture frame, which is cool because they got the fireplace and all the different layers of the Grand Canyon that's featured, plus the lamps or the lights up in the ceiling. And they have the bridge with the little geyser. He's on the beach towels. See, again, there's all of this cool stuff that people just look at and they're like, oh, okay. Now that's kind of fun. They even have him as a freaking backpack. Oh, one of the other things I wanted to show you outside here, forgive the wind, it's pretty windy. Right here, these are Humphrey the Bear's bear tracks. So you'll see him even long before you get into the resort. Well, that was part one of our Wilderness Lodge tour. I hope y'all enjoyed that tour. Again, wanting to be different. Doing a lot of homework and digging deep into these resorts and all of their meanings and hidden meanings, and as I like to say, hidden magic in plain sight, you know? So again, when you're here, take a break from the theme parks. We all know that there's fun rides here at Disney World. We all know that. But what people don't realize is a lot more of that fun is extended into the resorts. You know, and that's why I get so aggravated when I see bullcrap like, you know, the Polynesian Tower and even the Riviera Resort. The Riviera is nice. We're going to cover that one as well. But when you compare that into, like here at Wilderness or any of the other Eisner era resorts, can't even compare. From the backstories to the attention to detail to everything. I mean, just like in that lobby, I don't know how long this vlog's going to be. My guess is about 35, 40 minutes to an hour long. All of it was centered around just the lobby. I mean, we did cover the swimming pool, but that was it as far as the exterior grounds. I didn't get a chance to even think, well, I could have, but again, we're trying to keep these vlogs somewhat, shorter. You know, I don't want to put up a 3-hour vlog. So it's much better to do this in parts. So the next one we'll do when I come back is we'll do the other parts of Wilderness Lodge, and then part 3 will probably be all of the villas, and then over on the Disney Vacation Club side, because that's a whole nother part of the resort with a whole nother story and all new details and everything else. So there's so much to see at these resorts. But I'm telling you, take a few days of your vacation and just get on a bus or get on some mode of transportation and go visit all these resorts and go look at all of the amazing details. Like I said, here you can go to the desk and they'll give you a clue sheet on where to find, where they sell more than 24 hidden Mickeys all around the resort. I know in some of the gift shops around the resort, and I think even at Disney Springs, you can find the book of all of the hidden Mickeys all throughout Walt Disney World Resort. The book is like that thick. It's a big book. So again, enjoy yourselves. Take a day off. Take a break. And go see these resorts because they truly are magical. I love the architecture, the design, the theming. It's an honest to goodness treat to bring this all to you because I really enjoy doing this. It is really neat to take the information I find and go and find it in person. Like I said, it's neat to watch these videos, I'm sure, but to take what you've seen in here and then come to these resorts and find this stuff in person for yourself is pretty magical. So we're gonna do a lot more of these. And yeah, I hope you all enjoy them. And again, like I said in the other one, let me know in the comments. Let me know which Disney resort you would like to see highlighted like this. And again, we're doing this all from a different point of view. We're not just covering food and merchandise and, oh, look, here's the pool. Oh, by the way, that's the resort. We're out of here. We are really going into detail with this. So I hope you all enjoy it. I'll see you on the next vlog. Have a fantastic afternoon and stay safe in this storm. I'll try to give you all an update in a little while. Have a fantastic afternoon, everybody. This has been the truth. Everything you've seen has been actual, and I hope you all thought it was mighty satisfactual. See ya.